That's the lot, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Baines. Well, square away.
Vigo, Porto, Lisbon, was it, sir?
That's right, Mr. Baines. We sail with the flood.
I shall have the new house looking as pretty as a picture on your return, James.
5 weeks or more before the owners move out. You may still be here when I return.
Oh, I can't wait to get away from this place. It's such a lovely house. Such excellent proportions.
We should have at £25 a year.
5 rooms.
Yeah, £5 a room.
I wish I was sailing with you.
Oh, now, look. In 6 weeks or less, I'll be back. Somebody must remain to deal with Elizabeth's tantrums.
She spoke hastily, out of fear, no doubt. She'll marry Daniel Fogarty.
Well, she'd better pray that he doesn't change his mind. Yes, she certainly sent him away with a flea in his ear.
It's her condition, James. It's only natural she should be somewhat temperamental.
Elizabeth has been temperamental since she was a squalling child. I'm out of all patience with her. Old Fraser's besotted with her. You know, a little encouragement on both sides, and she could well have been mistress of a
shipyard?
Well, why not? Marry the master, not the servant, and marry you must.
She certainly has her share of the Onedin temperament.
Well, now, look. You must see that the banns are read without delay.
Aye.
Well, who else? Robert has all the qualifications of a jellyfish, and Sarah stops her ears at anything that smacks of an indelicate nature. No, you must deal with her.
Well, I'll try, but Elizabeth is willful.
Well, she'll come to her senses. Concentrate her mind on the benefits that accrue from being a seaman's wife.
I shall miss you, James.
Ah, well, you'll be buying furniture and making curtains. You got those winter measurements I gave you?
Yes.
Well, you'll have plenty to keep you occupied. Your father should be good company. Well, I'll be off aboard then.
Shall I accompany you to the wharf?
No. No, one goodbye's more than enough.
Bye, James.
Oh, Albert!
Elizabeth.
Albert, what am I to do?
Marry me.
I can't.
Why not?
They insist upon my marrying Mr. Fogarty.
Who insists?
All of them. James above all.
James? The devil he does.
And Daniel will be returning from Denmark shortly.
Do you love him?
I don't know.
If you're unsure, you don't. Those in love are positive. That I do know. Marry me, Elizabeth. Marry me.
That's impossible.
Why?
Your parents,
What of them?
they'd never agree.
We shall not tell them. We shall not tell anyone.
We shall elope. Oh, Albert, you're such a romantic.
You this halyard, if you please, Mr. Baines.
New chaffing leather for the bolt ropes. There are Scotchmen for the shrouds.
New halyards, chafing leather, and a pair of new chafing battens. Aye, aye, sir.
That's right, Mr. Baines. I like a smart ship, Mr. Baines. A smart ship and a clean ship. That's it. Lay off a new course, Mr. Baines.
Me, sir?
Why not? About time you learned to put all that theory into practice.
How nasty you get.
I walked past it this afternoon with... It's a lovely house. You're so lucky, Anne. Me cooped up with Robert and Sarah and that squalling child.
I've no doubt that Daniel Fogarty will see to it that you have an establishment of your own.
Poor Daniel.
Poor Daniel. I imagine he considers himself quite fortunate.
I haven't said I'd marry him. I only apologised to him for saying I wouldn't, that's all.
You have no choice, Elizabeth.
There's always a choice.
Not in your circumstances.
You know why it happened? I felt sorry for him.
Sorry for him? You throw a crust to a beggar and I must be content, is that it?
I was foolish. And Daniel can be very persuasive.
You can be married quickly and quietly and none the wiser.
Quickly and quietly and none the wiser.
What are you scheming now?
Scheming?
I've seen that look too often in James's eyes.
James tries to impose his will on everyone. Do you deny that you're carrying out his bidding now?
What?
Has he not insisted the banns are read while he's away? Sauce for the goose is sauce for the gander.
What do you mean?
Albert Fraser has asked me to marry him.
But you cannot possibly.
Why not? If I can marry Daniel Fogarty quickly and quietly and none the wiser, why can't I marry Albert Fraser on the same terms?
Surely the reason's obvious enough.
Not yet, it isn't.
You cannot propose to father another man's child unto Mr. Fraser. The very thought is monstrous.
He need not know.
Oh, be sensible, Elizabeth. It cannot be. Daniel has a great affection for you.
I'll not be a sea captain's wife. Never, never, never.
You should have thought of that before you get... You will settle down, Elizabeth. As a captain's wife, you'll be mistress of your own house.
I've seen their houses, each with its widow's walk.
Many captains take their wives with them.
I've no taste for shipboard life, thank you. When I marry Albert Fraser, I shall want for nothing.
Money. So that's what's turned your head.
And why not? Seems to have turned everyone else's. Why shouldn't I have my share? You made certain of yours.
What?
For what other reason did you and James marry?
Your brother and I did not deceive each other, Elizabeth.
Albert Fraser loves me and wants to marry me. Why should I refuse?
And when he discovers the child is not his...
The child will be his. And his alone.
Beautiful river that take us, Mr. Baines. The ship's yours. Take her to Lisbon.
Aye, aye, sir.
A fine wine, Senor James. A Torne Viagem Setubal, 15 years in the cask.
Smells of geraniums.
The last of a great harvest. I fear there will be no more like it.
Oh, there'll be plenty more good years to come yet.
I think not.
Huh?
We have a saying, wine is not made in the vineyard, but in the cask. Like most proverbs, only partly true. For if there are no vines, there can be no grapes. Without grapes, no wine.
Oh, you've had a bad year, then, eh?
On the contrary, a magnificent year. But soon my vines will be destroyed. Devastador, the ravager, a terrible little beetle we call the destroyer. It feeds on the roots of cultivated vines. Already in France, the regions of Bordeaux, Médoc, Entre-deux-Mers have all been devastated. It has now reached my neighbor's vines.
Yours will be next, eh?
I shall be ruined.
Is there no cure?
Only one, replenish with new stock.
Oh, where from?
North America.
America? Ah, they've only got the wild grape there. Bitter as gall.
To each man his trade. It is healthy wild stock that I need. I shall graft my vines onto them.
How many do you need?
100,000.
100,000? It'll require 3 or 4 journeys for a ship of the Charlotte Roach capacity.
One voyage only. I must have those vines in time for planting.
When?
When the rains come, within 3 months.
Well, there's nothing for it, friend, but you must charter a ship with capacity enough to carry all your vines.
It's not possible. I've tried. But the only ships available are sailing to the Mediterranean for Africa, India, Brazil. Anywhere but North America. I had hopes of that one, the Pampero. But alas, she is bound for Pernambuco.
Pernambuco, eh? Pernambuco, she could pick up the northeast trades and the westerlies to Baltimore. What cargo does she carry?
Salt and cokewood.
Buy her, my friend. Buy her.
What?
Buy her, cargo and all.
I'm no ship trader.
Aye, but I am, and I'll not stand by and see you ruined. Besides, I need your trade.
But to buy a ship and cargo?
Now, look, give me a half share in her. I'll undertake to sail her out, sell the cargo, return with your vines within 60 days.
One moment, James. You travel a little too fast for me. Not only am I to buy a ship I do not want, but now I'm to give half to you. No, no, my friend. You drive too hard a bargain.
You go a long way before you find a better one. Look, give me 5 years to buy out your share. If during that time I cannot, the ship becomes yours. You can sell her, return your money, you know. Also, we share the profits of each and every voyage as though we were equal partners. Well, how can you lose, eh? 5 years' profit? Then your purchase price refunded? And your vines shipped free of charge, for no man can make a profit out of himself.
Not all men, perhaps.
Well, are we agreed?
A 5-year option?
Within 5 years.
But that would mean that if you were to buy me out in, say, 2 years, I should forfeit half profits for 3.
Aye, but then your money would no longer be tied up in a ship.
It's known, I think, as robbing Peter to pay Paul. And I suspect that I am Peter. And who will pay for the fitting and repairs to the ship? Peter or Paul?
Look, I'll undertake to keep the ship in seaworthy condition. A bit to my advantage. I intend to own her.
Very well, my friend. Get me those vines from America, and we shall own her. Together.
Agreed.
Sauciest vessel I ever did see, sir.
You must drive them, Mr. Baines. Men and ship. Drive them hard.
A new crew, and heathen store a man by the cut of that jib, but I'll haze him. Hey, you! Move, you dozy, sleepy-headed farmers! Contramaster, liven 'em up! Move 'em, se de precio suas polcas, ores foles vivas! Move 'em, se es pancas broom! I was very friendly with the Portuguese girl, sir. Nearly fool enough to marry her. We have visitors, sir.
Eduardo, mande estes matropíos para bordo. Capitão Onedin.
I am.
May I present myself, Your Excellency? Dom Vasco Baptista. My papers, Excellence.
Passengers? The ownership of this vessel has changed hands.
But not the charter, senor. Passage to Pernambuco.
Have no accommodation.
It was been arranged.
Women folk.
They are like animals. And are expected to breed like animals, eh? There is the matter of my baggage, senor.
Then your animals can haul it aboard. Mr. Baines, heave up the anchor if you please. Stand by to get underway. We've little time for niceties here.
10 sound, cover standing.
To whom are you writing?
My father?
Will he be pleased?
He'll be furious until he sees you. Then he'll melt.
She melted the hearts of the swains in them parts.
And what of your family?
Oh, they will be most impressed. They think you a splendid catch. And so do I. Do you want children, Albert?
A son?
Then you shall have one. I promise.
It's not a prison ship, you know, Senor Vasco.
But of course not.
Those men had the marks of the gyves on their wrists.
Ah, they are known to be men of violence, Senor Capitao. Peasants, thieves, incendiarists.
What?
They set fire to the vineyards of my master, Don Pedro de la Cruz. Less generous men than Don Pedro would have hung them out of hand.
I suppose, out of the generosity of his heart, he sends them to his estates in Brazil.
Passage paid. Indeed, they are the most fortunate of men.
Glad I'm not as fortunate.
The land was always ours. It was never in dispute. We kept goats, for goats gave us milk, meat, clothing. Then the patrol sent soldiers to break the land for vineyard.
The Bertrand planted vineyards.
We were made to break our own land ourselves. We worked from sunrise until after darkness. And for wages, we received blows. Sarita's father spoke to Don Vasco of this.
And?
Don Vasco hung my wife's father from a tree and then burned down the tree. Had my grandfather been alive, he would have killed Don Vasco where he stood.
Grandfather?
He was a British soldier, as big as an ox. He fought with your Wellington. He was a great man, your Wellington.
So that's where you learned to speak English. Your grandfather taught you.
My grandfather was a stubborn man. He would speak nothing else. He demanded that the men of the family spoke English. Someday, he said, we would go to England. It was a dream he had seen.
And after they hung your wife's father, then what?
We were not as my grandfather. We were covards.
Covards. Cowards.
We ran away. But that night we returned and set fire to the best vineyards, knowing that for this, the patrol would punish Don Vasco.
Did he?
He forbade Don Vasco to marry Dona Lucia. And is he not also going to Brazil?
You spoiled his marriage prospects. Had him exiled to some godforsaken estate in the middle of nowhere. He's gonna love you for that.
No, he will kill us all, if we do not kill him first.
Not aboard this ship, you won't.
Come in, Robert.
We've had a letter from Elizabeth.
Oh?
Well, just a brief note to say that she's well and happy. Gloriously happy is her phrase. I just thought that you might like to know.
You approve of the match?
Of course I do. She couldn't have done better. I never did care for that chap Fogarty. Fraser will make an admirable husband.
But her condition?
Sarah and I have had a long discussion, and we're both of the same mind. It's nothing but a young girl's fancies.
There was nothing fanciful about her situation when I last spoke to her.
A young girl knows nothing of such things. It's no more than the vapourings of an overwrought imagination.
When the child is born...
Really, Anne? You astound me. Such an imputation is just not worthy of you. If, and I say if, their union should be blessed, it will give no one greater satisfaction than Sarah and myself.
Oh, Robert.
I grant you that Elizabeth has seemed somewhat fickle of late, but then that's no more than her temperament. No, now she's chosen well, in my opinion, she'll settle down and make a splendid wife. You'll see.
So everything's to be for the best in the best of all possible worlds?
And I just don't pretend to understand your attitude. The kindest interpretation I can put upon it is that... well, that you yourself have not yet experienced the joys of parenthood.
Robert!
There's no more to be said!
Ostrich.
Appears to be backing, Mr. Baines.
Shifting to southeast. We'll make poor time this trip, I reckon.
Time is our enemy, Mr. Baines. Time.
No Brasil, tu vais trabalhar na minha casa. E teu marido na fazenda.
Ah, filha da puta!
Go! Elisa!
She attacked me, look.
You must go aboard the ship when I give a command. I expect to be obeyed instantly.
It's my property to do with as I choose.
Disobey my command and I shall hang you.
She got me, look.
Of course, if you think a little scratch worth hanging for, by all means proceed.
And this insult to my person will be reported to authority the instant we reach Pernambuco.
Mr. Baines?
Sir?
Come to a decision. We shall avail ourselves of the winds. Stand by to come about. We head for Baltimore.
James?
Aye. The Charlotte Rhodes has arrived. Huh?
Sailing for Pernambuco?
That's right. He sent the Charlotte Rhodes back with a Portuguese sailing master in charge.
He's taken a half share in a clipper.
What? Oh, no. Then he'll have put us all in debt again.
James knows what he's about. Be away for 3 long months and we'll write in more detail later. James writes a short letter and wastes little time on salutations.
Yes, well, consider yourself fortunate, because he's written to me here in considerable detail. I'm to pay off the crew. I'm to arrange to put the wine into bond, write to a dozen or so wine merchants, informing them of the safe arrival of the cargo, and asking for their instructions on further. Look, you are to dispose of a part cargo of turpentine at a profit of not less than 20%. Now, how the devil am I to dispose of 450 gallons of turpentine?
To the manufacturers of paint, I imagine.
Yes, but I know nothing of buying and selling cargoes. And where am I to find the money to pay off the crew, eh? And victual the ship to boot? I must think that money grows on trees.
Must arrange for the company to pay.
Company?
You're an officer of the company. You simply make out a draft to be drawn upon Onedin Line and Company Limited.
Oh.
I shall enter it into the books to be accounted for on James' return.
Look further, he says, he requires that the Charlotte Rose be packed off to sea again with a minimum of delay and with a full cargo. Now, of what, I ask you? And where to? Look, how can I possibly calculate what some Frenchman or German or Polander, if you like, may be prepared to pay for unspecified goods?
Robert, you're a shopkeeper, aren't you? Buy a large quantity of something you know to be in demand and ship it to a country in need.
Well, I fancy that states the case clearly enough, eh, Senor Vasco?
Let me remind you once again, Senor Capitao, that passage money has been paid, and you have undertaken to deliver us to Pernambuco, and not to any port which takes your humor.
A ship sails to where it can show best profit. Now, there's as good a market in America for salt and corkwood as anywhere else.
But that is not the issue.
But that's precisely the issue. Senor Braganza is invested in ship and cargo for one purpose. That purpose is the procurement of American vines and their return without delay. That alone is my chief concern.
I can assure you, Capitao, that on my return, my Patrão will have something to say on this matter. And in Portugal, the Patrão is a man of considerable influence and authority.
You're not in Portugal. You're aboard my ship, and aboard my ship there's only one man of influence and authority. Me.
In that case, you may care to exercise your authority when we reach Baltimore, and see to it that my people remain below and in chains.
In chains? Not on board my ship.
Well, they will run away.
Well, then you'd better keep a sharper eye on them.
They are your responsibility.
As passengers, not as prisoners. Minutes to 3. Where the devil are they?
They're not coming.
What?
We've been boycotted. It's the dealers ganged up from the price ring. You sell through them or no one at all. They're trying to shove a bill through Congress making ship auctions illegal. They call it the liberty of the individual, taking a profit from both ends.
Damn middlemen. Pocket the profit and grow fat at the expense of others. Well, I'll deal direct.
Not possible. Dealers have their monopoly.
Well, to whom do they sell?
Well, housewives, butchers, fishmongers, meat packers, picklers, everybody uses salt, but there's none to be had except through the dealers.
850 tons. We can't go from door to door selling it in twopenny blocks. There must be somebody somewhere with an eye to a profit.
There are the dealers.
And I suppose there's a dealer in vines as well. The country's gone to the dogs.
Well, the backwoods are infested with vines. They're there for the picking. All that is required is the labor.
Oh?
There's none of that to be had.
What?
Everybody's off building railroads.
$2 a day.
When do they call it an Irishman's paradise?
Irishman?
Oh, yeah. Shiploads of them. Digging their way across country like dogs digging for bones.
Mr. Baines, they do say that an Irishman lives off potatoes and a handful of salt.
Now, anything that moves, shoot it, skin it, cook it. Keep them fed, but keep them working. I want navvies, pickmen, layers, lumbermen, and which are you?
I'm not looking for work.
Then you're wasting me time. Beat it.
How many men do you employ?
Not enough.
But they all require salt.
Salt. No, mister, I can buy all the salt I need.
Aye, $4 a ton from the Baltimore factors. I can let you have a shipload at $3.50.
A shipload?
Aye, 850 tons.
And what in the name of creation would I be wanting with 850 tons of salt?
Well, push your railroad through on time.
What?
Well, you can't cook without salt, preserve fresh meat without salt. Without salt, a man becomes debilitated, lacks the energy to swing a pick.
850 tons?
Aye, store it, use it, sell the surplus.
To whom?
Oh, there's always a market for salt, plenty of eager buyers. Warehouses are more than half empty, and there's no natural source of supply in this country.
Wrong, mister, there is. Out there's deserts of salt. And one day we'll build a railroad right across this country.
Right, but not today.
No deal. I'm in the railroad business. I'm no salt merchant.
So you're content to meet the terms of these grasping Baltimore middlemen, are
You'll
you?
do the same. You'll sell to them or nobody. You've got no choice, mister.
Captain, and I do have a choice. I'll save my ship and cargo elsewhere. Always a market for salt, until you build your railroad, of course.
Well, I'd like to be able to oblige you, Captain. Even if it was only to skin those Prayton thimble riggers. But I can't afford to invest $3,000 of my company's money into something that's not strictly associated with railroad business. Sorry.
What would your company say to an investment of 10 cents a ton?
10 cents a ton? You must be out of your mind.
A purely nominal figure. You see, I've got something you want, and you've got something that I want.
Aye. And what will that be?
Vines.
Vines? Well, now I know you're off your head. You're crazy. The only vines out here are those of the wild grape. Shriveled little thing as bitter as gall.
Ah, you see, but I require the roots, not the grape.
Well, then help yourself. Around here they grow like weeds. We burden to be the cartload.
How many men do you employ?
Oh, about 2,800.
I want 100,000 vines. That's 1,000 men, 1 day's work, 100 vines each.
Man alive, I'm building a railroad, not planting the Garden of Eden. Now, I can't call in men off track lane. I've got a contract to fulfill.
Without salt?
5 cents a ton. Out of my own pocket.
Right. We'll store them in bundles of 50 wrapped in straw. My crew can look after that side of it. I've half a dozen Portuguese vine tenders who can oversee your navvies so you can have the salt at 8 cents a ton.
Done! You've got yourself a deal, Admiral.
Oh, just another thing. Where can I get 1,000 tons of grain?
My people, you are permitting them to go ashore?
As a work party, under my instructions.
Why, this is insupportable. They will run away.
If you're so concerned about your property, Senor Vasco, then why not accompany them? You have my permission.
Oh, I thrust myself alone out there in the forest. I should have my throat cut.
Well, then you must resist your natural anxiety and stay aboard with me.
I promise you, Capitão, I promise you. The moment we return to Lisboa, I shall have you arraigned before a magistrate.
If you get ashore, that'll be your privilege.
We returned by railway train. First class, of course. And we had lunch served by the handsomest waiters you ever saw. It can't be imagined. Eating York ham in positive luxury.
And at 50 miles an hour. That's steam power for you.
Albert, we must go.
I'm so happy for you both.
I wish Albert's parents were.
Mother adores you, Elizabeth.
But your father had other plans for you.
It was an understanding. My views were never even consulted.
A great moon-faced girl.
But the daughter of a shipowner. Father, he will come round, given time. He must. I mean, who could resist her?
Albert, we must hurry. Goodbye, Anne.
Goodbye, Anne.
Goodbye.
Robert?
Take care. Fraser is a fine addition to the family. A fine addition.
You have a receipt and a bill of lading, I believe.
Oh, I have bought, on behalf of the company, And direct from the wholesalers. 2,000 rolls of linoleum.
2,000?
Yes, there's a ready market for it in France. The wholesaler assures me that the French will pay anything for best quality English linoleum.
The wholesaler has assured you?
Yes.
Has he offered any guarantees?
Well, not exactly, no, but it's an old established firm and they have my absolute trust. No. I sail tomorrow on the Charlotte Roads as supercargo and as a director of the company. Now, James himself couldn't do more.
I seen the last of the vines safely stowed in the tween decks and the grain battened down in the hold, sir. I've checked the trim of the ship. We're drawing 15 feet forward and 17 feet aft.
Thank you, Mr. Baines. Well done. Well, here's to a fair wind and a fast passage, eh?
Aye.
We sail at daybreak. All hands aboard?
Only 2, sir.
Only 2?
Yeah. The rest are off to build a railroad for your friend McGuire.
What?
He jumped ship. McGuire enticed him away with promises of horrors and high wages.
Well, we've got to ship another crew immediately.
There isn't an able-bodied man to be found within 50 miles. They're all off building railroads. It's become a mania in this country.
I can't work this ship without a crew. Senor Braganza doesn't get his minds on time, I'll lose my share of the ship.
The peasants are back aboard, sir.
6 of them, eh? You speak their lingo, do you think you could lick him into shape?
Uh-huh. You and I could stand wheel and wheel about. Sail under half our canvas.
Aye. Put the 2 women into breeches and they can do a man's work, eh?
What about Senor Vasco?
We are now British sailor, yes?
You're now serving aboard a British ship.
We go to England.
Well, Mr. Baines can make sailors out of you, and your work is satisfactory. I see no reason why you should be discharged in any other port but one in the United Kingdom.
Thank you. Thank you, Capitão. We will work like dogs.
You cannot do this. Those men are in my charge. They are my property.
Have you got a contract to that effect?
But of course not. It is understood.
Well, not by me. But I do have a contract. See, these men have just signed articles. They're now subject to all lawful commands. Not you, Senor Vasco. The law says that if I consider the ship to be at hazard, I have the power to call upon all members and crew alike to render such assistance as I may see fit. We now come to your appointment, Mr. Vasco.
When we are in England, she'll drink English ale and grow fat, and have many children. And they will go to school and learn to read and write like Mr. Baines.
I'll teach you one day, Filippo, if you have a mind for it.
I would never understand all those little marks marching across the paper like little black soldiers.
I would learn.
Reading and writing is not for women. It's for important men like Mr. Baines.
I would like to comprehender the reading.
It is too difficult.
Oh, there's nothing to it once you know the trick of it. I mean, I myself, I often read a newspaper if I have the time, like.
Even your grandfather could not read a journal.
My grandfather was a soldado. It is well known that soldiers do not read and write. But when we are in England, we will visit my grandfather's village in Odishfile.
Where?
Odishfile? It is in England.
I've heard of it. I've heard of an Olin shore.
No, Odishfile, Odishfile. Papa, 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 papa.
Our new clean moor bar tat. Huddersfield, that's where your granddad came from, Huddersfield.
Odishfile.
And when he was tending your goats, he'd sing, this is what he'd sing. Where has they been since I saw thee? On Ilkley moor bar tat. Where has they been since I saw thee? Where has they been since I saw thee? On Ilkley moor bar tat. On Ilkley moor bar tat. on Ilkley Moor Bartat. There's been a courting Mary Jane on Ilkley Moor Bartat. There's been a courting Mary Jane. There's been a courting Mary Jane on Ilkley Moor Bartat. On Ilkley Moor Bartat. On Ilkley Moor Bartat. Thou's gonna catch thy death of cold on Ilkley Moor Bartat. There's gonna catch thy death of cold. There's gonna catch thy death of cold on Ilkley Moor Bartat. On Ilkley Moor Bartat. On Ilkley Moor Bartat.
Fogo! Fogo!
Fire! The green must have been damp.
Doubt about it. Ignited by self-combustion. All over the side with it, Mr. Baines.
Vede, capitão. Trabalha, seu porco, trabalha.
Signor Baines!
Filippo!
Help me! Help me!
Mr. Baines! William!
Filippo! Filippo?
Homemade. Piping hot and swimming in butter.
No, thank you, Anne. I don't think my stomach will ever be the same again. That wretched ship. We were swamped all the way to France, and then we rolled all the way back again. And that filthy, revolting, greasy food, not fit for pigs. Something should be done about shipboard fare.
You supply the victuals.
Yes, well, it's my opinion that James doesn't pay the slightest regard to the welfare of his people.
James is fair and just. He eats exactly the same food as the crew.
Yeah, well, he must have the stomach of an ox and the digestion of a goat.
Well, then the matter rests with you. You're the chandler. Simply supply good meat instead of that offal you buy cheap from your friend the butcher.
I don't think that I shall ever set foot on ship again as long as I live. Nevertheless, in my capacity as an officer of the company, I shall seek... Pass the sugar, will you? Responsible for the commissariat, I shall see to it that in future all ships of the Onedin line have decent victuals, decently cooked.
And who is to pay for this resolve?
The company.
And how much profit has the company made from your linoleum venture?
I couldn't find a buyer for the damp. Oh. Yes, a company that owns several large hotels have given me a decent price.
Only £90 profit?
Only £90? I wish the shop showed as much profit in as many weeks.
You bought the linoleum on behalf of the company against a bill of exchange, did you not?
Yes.
Well, we now owe the discount house £52 10 shillings in interest. That leaves the company with an overall profit of £37 10.
No. Look, net profit. Look, net.
Have you paid off the crew?
Not yet.
Robert, you have much to learn.
All under control now, sir.
How much did we lose, eh?
100 tons.
$3,000 worth. Half to me, half to Senor Briganza.
You won't like that.
The man who expects to share in the profit must also expect to share in the loss. Did you recover the body?
Burnt to a cinder. I put it over the side in a basket. Saw no reason why she should be further distressed.
Yes, quite right, Mr. Well, haul up the main yards. Let's get underway again.
Aye, sir.
The Briganza's awaiting his vines.
Strutting peacock seems to be exercising something of his old charm.
Old fears die hard. They're frightened of him again. Now we're nearing Lisbon.
Hail ho!
She's a Portuguese. Hauling a wind.
heading due south. Mr. Baines, run up a signal. Where are you bound?
Aye, aye, sir.
I refuse!
You paid for a passage to Pernambuco, and a passage to Pernambuco you shall have.
I will not set foot aboard that other ship.
You will.
No! I have been degraded and insulted before those animals, and now I will have justice.
You dare to speak to me of justice? Senor Vasco, aboard this ship I am the law.
But not ashore. Ashore you are nobody. I am a cavaliero, a gentleman. And the word of a gentleman will be taken above that of an arrogant, upstart English captain. My patrol, Don Pedro, is a man of honor and influence. And when he hears of your treatment of his property, he will see to it that you spend the rest of your life behind bars. No, Senor Captain. This latest trickery of yours will not enable you to escape the justice of Don Pedro.
I too have a patrol. Don Firmino de Dios Braganza. Now, Senor Braganza too is a man of authority and a man of honor. Whose word do you think he will accept, eh?
Well, you will be taken before a magistrate, and he will decide.
In that case, you leave me no choice but to put you ashore in irons to await trial.
Trial? What for?
Murder?
It was an accident.
You killed Filippo.
They will not believe you.
I have witnesses. Do you?
Senor Capitão, it is not possible for me to go to Brazil alone. Those men are in my charge. They are the property of Don Pedro.
They stay.
You have no right! They are citizens of Portugal. I will speak to the Capitão of the Portuguese ship. He will understand these things.
They sail under the protection of the Queen. Try and remove them by force, and you commit an act of piracy. The other captain will tell you the same thing. You have 10 minutes, Senor Vasco. All hands aloft! Shake out the sails, Mr. Baines. Let's get underway again. Senor Braganza's awaiting his vines.
Aye, aye, sir. All hands aloft. Ready to make sail.